So, back when Pokemon TCG Pocket first came out, which I actually don't know when release it is, I told myself that I would not download it because I could not handle another Gotcha game. Really, it would probably be detrimental to my schedule due to like school and stuff. Then, fast forward to about a week ago, when my friend Jaeger sent me a DM saying that Clodsire EX was coming to Pocket. So I decided then to actually try out TCG Pocket, so I downloaded it on my phone to get as many free-to-play pulls for Clodsire as possible. If you didn't know, my favorite evolution line of Pokemon are the Woopers and their evolutions, which is Wooper, Quagsire, and Clodsire. So, saying that was about the best thing anyone could have said to me to convince me to try out Pokemon Pocket. Anyways, a little bit of background on my Pokemon knowledge. I played a bit of Pokemon TCG back around 2017, and clocked a fair amount of time in Pokemon TCG Online, which is now unfortunately discontinued. So I actually know most of the rules of the game, and can do a decent job analyzing my experience with Pocket so far. I've also been playing Magic the Gathering for the last 6 years, so that's more TCG experience to add on top of that. So, as I roll the footage of me trying to pull for Clodsire EX immediately on release, I'll give a rundown of my thoughts on Pokemon TCG Pocket after playing it for a few days. By the way, I am recording this audio before I actually record the pulls. It is currently like 8 p.m. and reset isn't until 11, so there will be no live reaction to the pulls. In case you don't know, in the Pokemon TCG, you usually win by knocking out your opponent's Pokemon, and reaching a certain number of points first. There's a couple other win conditions that show up less often, but we'll get into one of those later. In order for your Pokemon to knock out your opponent's Pokemon, they have to use attacks, which require a type of card called Energy. One of the most glaring differences in Pocket compared to the regular TCG is that you are consistently given 1 energy a turn, versus having to put energy cards into your deck. Accompanying this is a smaller deck size, 20 cards versus 60 cards. I think I'm a fan of this change from Pocket, since you can reliably hit your energy every turn instead of risking either not drawing your energy and being unable to do anything, or drawing energy every single turn and also not being able to do anything. Getting rid of the variability of being able to do stuff if you draw energy or not, or draw too much, and the inevitable frustration that causes, I think is overall a positive for casual play in Pocket. The one major case where I can see this being a negative is in decks that require multiple types of energy. I'm looking right at you, Dragon types. I haven't played a multi-type deck yet in Pocket, but from watching some footage of Pocket gameplay, you can get screwed over by the game if it chooses to give you only one type of energy for 5 turns in a row, and refusing to give you the other type you need. This problem of not getting the types of energy you need also exists in the regular TCG, but I think it's slightly easier to mitigate there, since there are cards that allow you to search your deck or discard pile for energy cards, which will allow you to get the types that you need. The other slight negative I see with the game providing you 1 energy a turn is that it removes an element of the deck building process, which is determining how many energy cards to put into any given deck and balancing how many put in of each type properly. Removing that process removes one of the skill checks in deck building, but that is probably something only higher level players care about anyway, but I figure it's worth mentioning. In that rant about energy, I mentioned another difference between Pocket and the regular TCG, the deck size being 20 cards instead of 60 cards. The ultimate reason for why this is, I think, is because Pocket is a mobile game, and they want to shorten the length of matches as a result. But one of the consequences of a smaller deck size is changes in the prize/point system. In the regular TCG, You set aside 6 cards from your deck to be your prize cards, cards that you add to your hand after knocking out your opponent's Pokemon. Once you take all 6 prize cards, you win the game. Pocket handles this system differently, replacing prize cards with points. Knocking out your opponent's Pokemon rewards points, and the first player to reach 3 points wins. One thing that I like about prize cards better than the points is that securing knockouts gives you an extra resource in the form of whatever prize card you pick, giving slightly more incentive to play aggressively and take kills where you can get them. However, the downside of prize cards is that they are 6 random cards from your deck, which those 6 cards could contain the cards that are crucial to your deck's setup plan, which could leave you doing not much in the entire game. The point system fixes this particular issue, since it does not take cards away from your deck, although it does kind of suck that the point system doesn't give card advantage upon knocking out a Pokemon. But however, that card advantage might swing the game in favor of one player a bit too much, especially given that Pocket's games are shorter. For consistency, I'd say the point system favors players more, especially since it's easier to keep track of what is actually left in your deck. But I will say the feeling of getting a prize after securing a knockout is nice. Another major change in the gameplay of Pocket compared to the regular TCG is weaknesses, resulting in an additional 20 damage being taken instead of double. Attacks doing double damage turns a lot of moves into 1 or 2 shots essentially, especially those from EXs and higher, since they tend to do at least 50 damage at base, which would turn into at least 100 if weaknesses were double. I will say Magic doesn't have anything resembling a weakness system built into its basic mechanics, so when I switched off of Pokemon and started playing Magic, I honestly did not miss weaknesses at all. Changing the amount of damage received from a type of Pokemon is weak to from double to plus 20 in Pocket gives weaknesses a smaller role in combat, while still representing the type chart that is crucial to the mainline game's presence in the card. The damage numbers in Pocket are scaled in a way that if your Pokemon was getting 1 or 2 shot by an attack because of weaknesses, it was probably still going to get 1 or 2 shot anyway, maybe 3 shot, if your Pokemon wasn't weak to that type. Shrinking the impact of weaknesses in battle shifts more focus onto players' skills in deck building and gameplay, which I think overall leads to a better gameplay experience. As we kind of wrap up, I want to highlight a couple other minor changes and some comparisons to Magic, which is the trading card game I play more of these days compared to Pokemon. In the regular version of the Pokemon TCG, if you ever go to draw a card in your deck, and your deck has no more cards in it, you lose the game on the spot. This mechanic also exists in Magic, where there are plenty of decks built around forcing players to lose the game by drawing from an empty deck. This particular lose condition is not present in Pocket, although that kind of disappoints me because I love this forcing people to lose like this in Magic. I don't know if adding this to Pocket would actually be beneficial to the game or not. In both Pocket and the regular TCG, all the actions you take are during your turn. You can't do much of anything during your opponent's turn except pray that they flip tails on whatever coin flip condition requires them to flip heads. Magic has more game actions that can take place during your opponent's turn. Some decks even operate more on their opponent's turns than their own. Going back to Pokemon from Magic, I missed my instant speed interactions, my lightning bolts, my shocks, my murders, my counterspells, etc. This is just the difference between how the two TCGs fundamentally work, and as much as I want instant speed actions in Pokemon, I'm not sure how well they would work in the game if implemented, or if they would work at all, or they'd just be too overpowered. Another mechanic that, honestly, I don't remember this one that well from back when I played many years ago, is mulligans, aka redrawing your starting hand if it's bad. If I remember correctly, in Pokemon, mulligans are only available if you fail to draw a basic Pokemon in your opening hand, or maybe they don't exist at all, I don't really remember. In Pocket, I've been forced to keep some questionable starting hands because of that, because of the mulligan policy. Whereas in Magic, which I'm more used to, mulligans are always available. Once you decide on a hand to keep, you have to put a number of cards from your hand on the bottom of your deck equal to the number of times you mulliganed. I guess I'm just used to being able to take a mulligan or two, to having a starting hand that will allow me to set up properly, especially in Commander, since we get free mulligans in multiplayer. But that aside, there are some cases I still wish I could take a mulligan or two in Pocket. So, hopefully now that I'm basically done talking, I pulled the Clodsire EX with my 70 or so packs, right? I don't think I've gotten anything above a 3 diamond from packs after completing the tutorial, so I think I should be due for something. Anyways, that's my thoughts on Pokemon TCG Pocket. Thanks for listening and watching me try to pull Clodsire EX. I guess production me will figure out if I actually got what I was looking for while editing this video. Anyways, this has been May, signing off.